I've got a bit of a tendency with my records, I think, to open with often quite slow tracks, and I think I wanted to do something completely different this time and have the record really kind of crash open in a dramatic way, sort of like the way that like Peter Gabriel talks about Red Rain and like the function that track serves on. So and it was maybe a little bit kind of calculating on my part as well, that the track was kind of almost designed for that, and then I wanted a track as well that went into like a 3/4 section from a 4/4 section, and to do something kind of interesting structurally. So I had like the sort of structure in my head before any of the song was there really. But you know, it doesn't really fit on the album in some ways. It's not really about anything else that the record is about thematically. It's just a nice little kind of palate cleanser or something at the beginning of the track, or an aperitif or something like that. I don't know who Alison is. Like, I don't know any Alisons, and I certainly wouldn't write a love song about an Alison. Being that I've been with a man for 10 years. But I did find out after I'd come up with the melody and the word Alison had presented itself to me, that Alison is actually a fairly common boy's name in countries like Brazil and Portugal. So that's my get out clause. Plus also as well, Rob, who plays bass in the live band, jokes that it's a matter of law these days that every shoegaze band sooner or later has to have a song called Alison in its repertoire, otherwise you get prosecuted. So yeah, following in the tradition of Slow Dive and another band called Swimming Tapes as well, we've now got our track called Alison, and won't be going to prison as a result anytime soon.
Just while we're up here,
yeah.
What is the significance of where we are today to the album?
Yeah. So the record is about this place in a funny way. I'm from Devon originally. We're in West Somerset at the moment, which is a very wild and unlovely coast on the Bristol Channel, and it's a hard going place. Like, there's a beach, but it's not particularly sandy beach. It's not an ice cream and deck chairs beach. It's very rugged here. It's a very strange kind of beauty. We had a holiday home here in the 90s, late 90s till the early 2000s. And I love that place, and I never really got over the loss of it, and kept dreaming about it for like 2 decades after we ceased coming here. Since 2019, I've started coming back and staying here most autumns, out of season. And a lot of the sort of conception of the new album is bound up with this place. Like a lot of the lyrics were written here, some bits of recording were done here, most of the mixing was done here across a few stays during a few years. And I've just been spending increasing amounts of time here in the last sort of 4 or 5 years, in a way that makes the record completely inseparable in my mind. And so much of my thinking over the last few years has been about Britain and history and national identity, and the record, I think, in many ways is concerned with those things as well. It's been the central debate of our lives here in the UK really since 2016. Brexit, the implications, the ramifications, what it means for us as a country, what it means in terms of national identity, and this sort of strange view of England, which is kind of like a very nostalgic view of England, bound up with our feelings about ourselves, which is something to do with like myth making in the Second World War. And I could talk for ages about this, but I think one of the things that's been very clear to me is that there are other versions of England. There are more realistic versions of England. There are reasons to be proud of being British that aren't necessarily to do with nationalism. And for somebody who's lived in cities for 20 years, rediscovering this landscape, rediscovering sort of small town England, has led me to question a lot of assumptions I had as a sort of Guardian reading, granola eating North London ponce who definitely didn't vote for Brexit. And it's sort of helped me to get in touch with parts of this country that I'd sort of forgotten about, I think, really. And one key touchstone for me, I think, in the making of the album was the work of Derek Jarman, who, you know, in his books like Modern Nature and in his films, you know, he had a deep, abiding love for England, but it was a very critical kind of love. And it was bound up with his feelings of living on the coast and the sense of England as an island. And that's what I've been reading. That's the water I've kind of been swimming in for the last 3 or 4 years. And it's bound up with this place. It's bound up with feelings about Brexit. But it's really, you know, the record is a series of attempts to reclaim a more complicated, sophisticated and more diverse idea of what England can be. And it's especially poignant, I think, to be down here just on the verge of the album finally coming out to do some of this filming, because so much of the record is part of this place.